Shout
Sign
out, Jack.
have created a tier list of S tier through F tier. This is our grades. We're going to go through each division of football and grade the team's free agency. Now, I have gone ahead and looked up and graded them myself before the show with these educated guesses. I will present that to you, and as a group, we will grade the team based on their free agency. So without further ado, let me share my screen.
Hell yeah.
And select window. Oh, I guess entire screen. Oh, sweet. Can you see it? Can you see me?
Yeah, we see the stream right now, but yeah.
You can see this.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so Cy and I wanted to divide it up in divisions. So we're going to go north, south, west, east. So that's how we're going to do it. I like east, west better, but we have the AFC East last for a reason. We're going to start with the Chicago Bears. I'm going to give you what I think the Chicago Bears, what they have, and as a group, we're gonna discuss it. So, the Chicago Bears have signed Jalen Johnson, which is going to be their franchise cornerback, and they signed DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett to go with Cole Kmet to give them a tight end depth. They signed Jonathan Owens, okay, as a safety, and that's some of their bigger signs. They got Keenan Allen with the trade, okay. So, I would have given this. Oh, you can see my screen, can't you? I would have given this an A tier, okay, based on what I had just given you. But because they traded Justin Fields for a bag of chips and a Diet Coke, I think I gave this a B. Let me make sure. Yeah, I gave this a B. Now y'all can talk about it, discuss it amongst yourselves. What we're gonna put Chicago in. I'm giving them a B. What do y'all think?
I mean, you were actually pretty generous in that aspect of giving them a B. I personally would have given them a C, just off the strength of, again, you got some pieces, but you traded your quarterback for an unknown piece, an unknown commodity. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen with Caleb Williams. Now, would I love to see this young man flourish at the position? And again, there's so much pressure being a number one overall draft pick. But again, I would love to have seen them keep um, Justin Fields and, draft, maybe trade back and get a plethora of draft picks and draft commodity, draft stock and everything and whatnot with the players. But again, they did what they felt was best for the team in that aspect. I mean, again, I'm not in that room. I just wouldn't have did that thing. That, because again, you never know what's going to transpire with Caleb Williams. It's going to be interesting to see. Again, most rookie quarterbacks, I mean, it's a struggle for them to transition from collegiately to professionally. But I wish him nothing but the best.
So you're giving them I
would have given them
a C.
I would have given them. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, they re-signed Jalen Johnson. He's one of the top 5 corners in the defensive backs in the league. You get Keenan Allen. You get DeAndre Swift. You said Cole Kmet, and again to go with DJ Moore. Yeah, that some nice pieces overall. But again, the most unknown piece and the most important piece of your team is your quarterback position, and you're going to put all your eggs in the basket of a rookie unknown prospect. Again, that has no NFL experience. Now, again, I know there's I'm playing devil's advocate. I know he's a rookie and so forth and whatnot, but if you are a team that's in a win now mode, because again, if they do not, go to the playoffs, it's gone. Eberflus is essentially out of there, and we're going to have to start this process all over again of getting a new head coach, a new system, and basically what's going to happen is the same thing that happened with Justin Fields is going to happen with Caleb Williams. It's just a reoccurring cycle, and you got to break cycles.
100%. Is it showing the tier list now?
No. I'm not seeing it.
Just exit out of it, and then go to the thing, and then put the screen back up.
And just to piggy off what Nate was saying, if you if all of this happens the way it's supposed to happen, then you could also be looking at a new GM this year as well.
Yeah, I
So
wasn't
think-
sure about the Ryan Poles situation too. I didn't know.
I think he might be on some thin ice with all of this because now we're starting to put a lot of stock in, are the moves that he's been making for the past couple of years actually starting to play out? I think this is the make it or break it one for him as well. And
see it
so
Still stuck on StreamYard.
What the world?
Like I see your mouse moving.
Yeah, you
The
see my
mouse
mouse
moving.
moving. Can you still see my mouse moving?
Yes.
the mouse
I'm
moves
on a
pretty
different tab. What the heck? And it freaking restarted all our things.
Wow.
Okay, hold up.
Man. Come on, Connor.
I would give the free agency a C, but in terms of their offseason moves total, I'd give them an F because I would not have gotten rid of Fields. It's too big of a gamble for Caleb Williams. Even if you're saying that he's a generational talent, I don't see it with the way the team is structured right now. I don't see him surviving.
So so are we gonna say a C? Is this a collective C?
If all we're talking about is free agency, I'll give it a C.
If-
If we're talking about the
off-season-
whole offseason, it's an F.
Oh,
Free-
whole off
free-
season, it's 100% F. Poles is on very thin ice. Eberflus is a subpar head coach. Like, yeah, adding Keenan Allen, that's awesome. Adding DeAndre
if he
Swift,
stays healthy.
adding
Yeah,
DeAndre
this is
Swift.
strictly
I
free
mean,
agency.
Right.
could have gotten better. Gerald Everett's fine, but
Let me see.
it's
So are we gonna give him a C?
I'll give him a C.
we can
I'd
go.
give him a C.
We can go C. I like that.
Okay, let me see if this works. I don't know. I don't. Does that work? Please, maybe.
No.
No,
No?
sir.
Oh
Are
my
you
god!
sharing the whole screen or just a tab?
The entire screen. You are sharing your entire screen.
Okay.
Okay, this is what we're gonna have to do.
So maybe try and just share the tab then, if you can.
The only tab it lets me share is a StreamYard tab. Oh man! Oh man! Oh
Beats me.
man!
Hold on.
Beats my cheeks.
Pause.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute, Connor. Hold on now. You.
Pause.
Time out.
Nah.
Wait. Connor,
Nah, Connor.
what
Nah.
are you doing? What are you doing? Why would-
MJ's not here.
I know,
Right,
but
so we gotta
don't.
fill-
No, wait a minute.
I'll stop before I go too far.
What are you thinking?
Thinking that
Hold
this
on.
stuff isn't working.
Connor,
but
I'm
putting
gonna
the
hopefully
Bears at
bail you
C.
out. Just give me a second.
Okay, let's keep going because we don't have a lot of time. Okay, so we're putting the Bears at C. Is that a consensus vote?
Yeah.
Hold on. Y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
I got it. Yep.
Okay, cool. We're
Okay,
just gonna.
yeah. Let's use your screen.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So we're gonna
next-
we're gonna go Bears. We're gonna go Bears.
Bears
We're
C.
gonna go Bears C. We're gonna go Bears
That's
C.
fine. Okay, you do the thing. Okay, next
Okay.
we have the Green Bay Packers is what I'm gonna go where I'm gonna go next. And
Let's
I
see.
really now because of MJ, I don't have a fond love for the Packers like I used to, but I really like what the Packers have done with free agency. They signed a safety for 4 years, Xavier McKinney, to fill that secondary hole. They kept their all-pro returner, Nixon. They re-signed A.J. Dillon to keep their cornerback depth, and they signed Josh Jacobs to a 4-year deal worth $48 million. Now, to me, now y'all can talk about it, of course. To me, this is an A. This is an A grade free agency. I'm going to give them an A for this, and I want to see what y'all have to think. Anyone
They-
opposed to an A?
They definitely improved and didn't really lose much. So I'm good with an A.
I'm
Yeah,
okay. Go ahead, Kenny. I need because I need to figure out how I'm going to say this.
As much as I hate the Packers, I think that the Josh Jacobs signing has the potential to really pay off for them. So just because I'm a Packer hater, I'll go B.
Kenny.
Just because I'm a Packer hater, I'll go B. Is
Okay, Nate.
phenomenal.
I hate to admit when they do things well, but they're always doing things well. I hate it.
Fair enough. Okay. Nate,
Okay.
be the voice of reason. Nate, be the voice of reason.
I have to give them a B in itself. Now let's not mince our words with the acquisition of Josh Jacobs. What that dimension right there adds to the team. Now, but they had a good running back in
Aaron Jones.
Aaron
Aaron
Jones.
Jones.
They let
Aaron
AJ go.
Jones.
They had a really, really good running back that can do it all. Run the ball in between the tackles, catch the ball out of the backfield. He produced, and in that playoff run, he produced something at a monstrous level. We can't, forget about that. One of the things, hey y'all, come, hey, I want y'all to meet somebody. Come here, Dad. Come here. Hey, this is my dad. My dad is here. My dad actually came that time. This is Big Nate. Hey guys.
Big Nate.
That's my
Yeah.
dad.
Big Nate Nessie.
All right. But again, I don't feel like they added enough. Like, I don't think they added a lot. They did add Josh Jacobs, and he's a former All-Pro, a year removed from being a first-team All-Pro and leading the league in rushing. I think that's going to help the growth of Jordan Love and add that dimension of really running the ball, because again, when it gets to the later part of the season, and that November, December, when it gets cold there and it's like really, really, really 0 below, snowing, you need that element of running the ball in itself to really control the clock and control the aspect of the game. But I can't necessarily give them an A. I have to give them a B. They've made some nice moves, some nice acquisitions to improve the team. But again, we cannot just we got to talk about other teams too.
I'm cool.
So-
I'm cool with a B. I'm cool.
I'm cool with the B too. I
We're
like
gonna-
what they were doing, but we can
Packers.
go with the B. Okay, let's keep going. Okay,
Yes.
next I have the Lions. And so I'm going to say this, I'm loving everything this NFC North is doing during free agency. Let's look at what the Lions have gotten so far. They have gotten a good guard, a pretty good guard. They've gotten some help in their secondary. They've gotten an edge. They've done everything they have. They've gotten DJ Reader. They've done everything they've had to fulfill the needs of their team. And that's exactly what you have to do in free agency. And so because they have filled almost every single hole they have on that team, I'm giving the Detroit Lions an A for this free agency. What do y'all think?
Yeah, you better.
I am.
You better.
That works for me.
Go ahead, Si. You go ahead.
We're gonna just put them right in the A tier. We have no
Yes.
arguments. We got a lot of other teams to talk about.
Zero
A-tier.
arguments. They're
Exactly.
doing everything right.
They've had a fantastic offseason. They've done what they need to do,
Yeah, I can't wait to see.
and
what
they're
they do in a
only
couple weeks in the
going to get
draft.
better in the draft. Exactly. They're probably gonna have one of the best drafts.
100%.
I'll say it.
Oh,
I'll say it
yeah.
right now.
They're on track. Definitely.
I'll say it right now
Well,
because they figured out that they can actually develop players.
now if
people
we agree with that, I mean, you can keep talking. I just
People
wanna
wanna play-
get these teams going.
People want to play for Detroit. That's all I gotta say.
They want to go. They want to go on and play at Ford Field.
They want to play for the Fighting Dan Campbells.
Yes.
I love it. So let's keep going. I love, like I said before, I love everything about this NFC North. The Vikings have done so good with what they've been able to do. Now, Jack is right. The Vikings, I would have them in S tier if they had not let Kirk Cousins walk away. Because what you have done now in Minnesota is Justin Jefferson is not going to want to play in Minnesota. He's unhappy in Minnesota. And because he's lost his Kirk Cousins, the dude that has been throwing him 16, 18, 2,000-yard receiving years, he's gone. So the Vikings, I love what they're doing, but I'm going to have to put them A. I can't put them S just because they let Kirk Cousins walk.
I think losing Kirk Cousins without having an exact backup plan for this, I think you got to put him a little bit lower too.
I think because they lost Kirk and brought in Sam Darnold out of any QB, and they lost Danielle Hunter, I can't put him in A. I can put him in B, but no A tier for me.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think,
think we got, if we're looking at subtractions, definitely.
Yeah, what'd you say, Connor?
What do you think, Nate?
Shit, I ain't giving them no A.
Okay, but realistically.
Realistically, it'd be
Realistically, they're floating between a high C, low B. You let Kirk Cousins go and sign Sam Darnold. You might as well sign Nemo.
Okay, put him at B. That's fine. Put him at B.
we definitely are going to put him at B.
Okay.
I mean, you got your best receiver, arguably the best receiver in the game.
Is now unhappy.
He's not happy. because
Okay.
that relationship between that quarterback and the receiver,
It's crucial.
that's crucial.
I agree.
Crucial.
I agree. Now we go to the team that has just now, and I made this transition on purpose. The team that has just now signed Kirk Cousins. Now they signed him to a 4-year, $180 million deal with $100 million guaranteed. Kirk Cousins coming off an injury. We don't know how well they are playing. They're giving him this much money, and a lot of people love what they're seeing. So a lot of people are giving the Falcons A-tier grades. With me, I can't. They signed Darnell Mooney. They traded for Rondale Moore. They're giving Kirk Cousins weapons. They signed a tight end. I can't in good conscience give them an A due to the fact Kirk Cousins coming off an injury. I cannot give them an A. Kirk Cousins is coming off an injury. We don't know how well Kirk Cousins is going to play, and you're giving him this much money guaranteed when he's been sitting on a couch eating potato chips. So I have to give the Falcons a B tier, and it's not because of my Saints bias or anything. But I have
Yes,
to
it
give them
is.
a B. No, it's not.
A little
Realistically,
bit.
I have to
There's
give him
definitely
a-
some Saints bias in here.
I
but
have to give him a
continue,
B tier.
continue,
But I
continue.
mean, this is all consensus based. So tell me what you guys think.
Man, that you're biased. You're biased. You got a Saints jersey on right now.
He's got J-Mo on, baby.
You're not but you are not about to you're exactly you're leaning back and we can see the jersey.
I hate to break
You are
it to you. I
not-
think Falcons are going in that A tier, regardless if you like it or not.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? You look at this team and the foundation of this team. Are they just hired Coach Raheem, really good, great leader, great foundation. You look at the pieces that this team has. Bijan Robinson is going to be a star in this league. Drake
Bijan
London,
Mustard.
again. And then if we can get Kyle Pitt, or what's his name? Is it Kyle or is Kyle Pitts?
Kyle Pitts, yeah.
If we can get Kyle Pitts to really come into his own at the draft position he was drafted at, this team can score points. They have again, and then they have that who's the other running back? What's his name?
Tyler Algier, baby.
Algier. My
Who's
God.
also a dog.
They have a two-back system. They have a really good skill position. They finally have a quarterback, and we're hoping and praying that Kirk Cousins can come in and just really get back to his old self of what he was in Minnesota. Because if he can play anything like how he was in Minnesota, we're talking about this Falcons team. They can be a 12 to 13 win team this year. That NFC South is very, very weak.
Yeah, and even if he's only 3 quarters as good as he was, because it's an immediate improvement on anything that they've had for the past few years. So I got to give the Falcons an A for that one too. I mean, they're taking a risk with Cousins, but if it pays off, they're gonna run the South without a doubt.
Falcons are going to be in the A
biased.
tier.
You so biased.
Falcons going to stay in that A
Okay.
tier.
You so
Well,
biased.
Next team, we got.
Let's go to my team then.
Next.
Okay, let's go to my
Next.
team. Let's go to the Saints. Now,
D.
the Saints have re-signed Mario Davis. They've re-signed Tyrann Mathieu. They've gotten Chase Young and Willie Gay, some defensive weapons that they've needed so badly. But the Saints are very, very emotional signers. Like, they sign emotionally, and I can't stand it. They signed Nathan Peterman. Not that this is an emotional signing. I just can't stand Nathan Peterman. And they signed Cedric Wilson and some other Bengals wide receiver that doesn't play because he's from Louisiana. I'm giving them a C simply because of the fact that they have filled a lot of gaps in their defense. But I wouldn't care if y'all put them at D. But I'm going to give them a C.
I mean, if we want to look at addition by subtraction, Michael Thomas isn't on that team anymore.
Yeah,
So
and that's a good move too.
Just purely on that, I can put them in C. But that offense has a lot of question marks. Defense might be fine. I mean, C or D, it doesn't really matter to me.
What do y'all think?
I'll see. With my Ohio State bias, I was going to go S tier for the Chase Young signing, but everything considered, I understand. The highest I would give them is a C altogether. I mean, they're just like you said, Connor. There's a lot of emotion that goes into their signings, and I don't know how much actual analytics goes into it. I'm sure there's a ton of it, but it just doesn't feel right in New Orleans right now. So I'd give them at most, I'd give them a C.
Nate.
Trash. This team right here. I'm gonna have to give them a C. This is gonna be a consensus C. They have not done anything to
I can go
warrant that they
consensus
want
C.
to.
Consensus C.
They haven't done anything to warrant that they are really trying
They're
to
more or
compete
less the
top
same.
tier.
They're
They
more or less
haven't
the
done anything. They haven't done anything this offseason, as far as moves and whatnot to say that, hey, okay, we want to compete. We want to compete. Again, they missed the playoffs by the Bucks won the NFC South by one game.
One game.
By one game. What have you done to ensure to your fan base that you listen? Last year, we don't want to see that last year. That we're going into this year, putting it all out there on the table. We want to compete for this NFC South division crown. We want to compete in the playoffs. You have not done anything to really make your team better. So they can get a D, but I'm going to give them a C.
We'll be generous. We'll keep them in C.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Now, we have the Carolina Panthers next, and I have loved what the Carolina Panthers are doing. They've gotten the guards for Bryce Young because he's just been terrible. They've got 2 guards, Robert Hunt and Damon Lewis, good signings. They got a D tackle, linebacker. They re-signed a cornerback, got Deontay Johnson with the trade from the Steelers. They got another cornerback, a safety. They got Jadeveon Clowney. I've loved what the Panthers are doing. So I wanted to give them an A tier. I wanted to. But because of that Brian Burns trade, when you have traded your franchise player away for a second-round pick, not ensuring you that you can replace Brian Burns, you're going in B, Carolina. You're going in B. What do y'all think?
Okay, I'm biased in this aspect because they just hired Canales.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I've known Canales since I was like 13 years old. Him being a Carson guy, and he was one of my junior college football coaches at that. So there was going to be some bias coming out of there. Just knowing that he's a damn good coach, and he's a coach that's going to help Bryce Young in his growth. His mechanics was atrocious this past season. His footwork, his pocket presence, his awareness. Again, but it's understandably so because if I'm not mistaken, Kenny, correct me if I'm wrong, they fired the coach halfway during the year?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I mean,
Frank Reich, wasn't it?
They fired Frank Reich in like their 10th game of the year.
So it doesn't help that again he had to start from scratch. Like this whole year, his first year was a waste. There was no growth for him, and what we needed to see. His rookie wall was just he hit it hard. But I'm gonna have to give them a B just because when you trade away that Brian Burns, that hits and hurts your team. So I have to give them a consensus B.
I think a consensus B is the right answer.
What about you, Kenny?
Absolutely. I mean, same thing. If we're talking just free agency and the Burns trade, it has to be a B. But if you're talking overall what they've been doing the past couple of years, it's got to be held here because you're sitting here. You gave up the number 1 pick this year on that trade last year, so it's B for me right now. But it could get much worse.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Next, we go into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we've seen the bad side of the NFC South. Okay, so let's get into some good news. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers found their franchise quarterback. They gave Baker Mayfield a bag. They re-signed Mike Evans. They franchise tagged Antoine Winfield Jr., who was a dog this past season. They kept Levante David. They re-signed just all these depth players. I'm liking what the Buccaneers have done. There's nothing that the Buccaneers have done to make me say otherwise in this answer. I'm giving them an A.
Okay, it's a stretch to go ahead and say that they found their franchise quarterback. I won't. They found a quarterback.
That's why I put quotes.
Okay,
Thank you, Nate.
they found okay. It was either going to be you or me. So
I'm not calling him a franchise
It's
quarterback.
they definitely just call it Baker Mayfield
the-
franchise quarterback.
I'm looking at Si's facial expression. I was looking at Si's facial expression like, oh shit, yeah, he said that.
He said franchise.
But they found a quarterback that can help them until they find a franchise quarterback that can keep them their head above water and competing. They are quote unquote the reigning NFC South Division winners, and I think with the again this team, Mike Evans, and whether people like it or not, he's still one of the top 10 receivers in the game. Antoine Winfield was again. AJ was a dog, a dog.
Oh,
So
Again, and you know, again, my bias with Coach Todd Bowles, you know, mentor of mine's, again, Miami. This team has everything it needs to again win that NFC South Division crown. If I'm not mistaken, this will be the third year. Will this be the third year in a row?
that sounds
So
right.
they have a great opportunity.
yes, don't remind me.
They have a great opportunity. I think again, I'm going to give them the A tier with Atlanta because they didn't do necessarily anything that's just spectacular, but what they did do was, you know, they kept the core of that team together. And the core of that team, we've seen what they've done. You know, again,
The core of that team can win.
yeah, the core of that team could win. Again,
And
so
based off just that factor, I think it's a consensus A.
yes,
For
Kenny.
sure. For
Okay.
sure. And I have a lot of bias against Baker Mayfield. I hate the fact that he tried to plant the flag
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, go.
I knew he
Tried
was
to
going
plant
say
the
it too.
flag
I knew he was going to say
in
it too.
Columbus. That's the worst thing that he could have done. So I have always hated Baker Mayfield. But he will hold the team over for like Nate said, for a little while they figure out what their quarterback situation will be. For now, and solidifying the roster, I'd give it an A for sure.
Perfect. I love that. Okay, I love that. Consensus good. Okay. Sai, you need to eventually get the Titans logo. So whenever you can download that and put that in,
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen.
that'd be great. That'd be great.
We'll just
download, literally save an image as the Titans logo and put it in there. It will work. I
Just
promise.
use the Oilers logo. That's fine.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. Just so we have the Titans logo. Okay. So next, I'm going to go to the NFC West. I'm going to go to the Rams. We're going to start off with the Rams. They signed 2 guards. I like them. They signed a tight end that I like too. Signed a cornerback. All this stuff is they signed all these good players, but they're spending a lot of money to sign these people. Now they signed Cameron Curl to a 2-year, $8 million deal. I like that. It's kind of cheap, but they signed Jimmy Garoppolo, which I don't really like. So because of the amount of money they have been spending and who they have gotten with that money, I'm going to give them a C.
but we also can't forget the best defensive player of this generation just retired.
Yes, and that's good, Nate, because they have not found a replacement for him, and they could with the draft. But I'm saying with free agency, you have not found that replacement, and that's also why I give them a C.
I mean, yeah. I'm going to have to give them a C as well because it's not just a replacement of Aaron Donald. It's because it's going to be hard to replace. That's a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's a champion, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, All Pro. You know, consummate All Pro. A man that's a generational talent. That's generational talent right there, and the generational player. What he did for that defense, you know, again, he was a big part of that defense and whatnot. He was a game changer and a game wrecker. But what have you signed? What other guys have you signed on, you know, on the offensive side or on the defensive side? They haven't done a lot of that yet, and whatnot. So I have to give them a C.
Yeah, I think just at this point, the highest that you can give them is a C. They just haven't done enough yet during this offseason, during this period, where they can show that they're making any sort of progress towards reclaiming the West. I mean, that's just the highest would be a C right now.
So I sent you that Titans thing, but you already never mind.
Already pulling in there. What team
Okay,
we're talking about? I'm not gonna lie, I got distracted doing this. I don't know what team we're talking about.
C, the Rams.
Oh, Rams C. Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
100%.
we made a C.
Okay. You lost Aaron Donald. You didn't gain that much. Matthew Stafford's your order. You don't have the QB behind him. C.
Okay, we're gonna go to a team where this could be like a lot of we could take this a lot of different ways. And so this is the Arizona Cardinals. They signed a D tackle. They signed Sean Murphy, Bunting. They signed all these people, another O tackle, because they had released what's his face? They released a tackle. I can't remember his name. Humphreys or something. They released him. But But they did trade for Desmond Ritter, like he's going to be their franchise guy. I don't know with the amount of money they're spending on these players, what they're going to do with them. I don't like it a lot. I'm going to give Arizona a C.
Did you say
Oh, that's
did
generous.
did you just say that Desmond Ritter was going to be their franchise guy?
No, I said I don't know what they're wanting to do with Desmond Ritter.
Oh,
If they
And
want
I
him to
think
be their
that's
franchise guy.
I think that's the reason why you'd have to put them in the hell tier is because they clearly make it look like they have no idea what's going on.
Thank you. I
Nate, what do
agree.
you
And
think?
until
agree.
April 25th when they draft Harrison Jr., it has to stay in the hell tier because they'll get lucky that he drops
They're
that far.
rebuilding still. They
And
won
then
3
right.
games last
And
year,
all
right?
they're doing a poor job of rebuilding. So I'd have to put them in the hell tier.
Thank you. I agree.
Nate, what
Next.
you thinking?
hell, what you think I'm thinking?
I'm just making sure. I was trying to be generous, but if y'all want to go that far, we can go that far.
Oh no,
down.
that's why it's here. That's why it's here. So
That's
we can
fine,
go that
that's fine.
far.
Okay. Well, let's keep going then. Okay. Let's go to the Seahawks. So they got a couple of okay players. I don't really know what the Seahawks have been doing. They got Leonard Williams, who they signed, who they got this past season. They re-signed re-signed Noah Fant to a 2-year deal, and they got Sam Howell. Okay, I mean it's all okay stuff. I'm just gonna give him a C. It's all okay. I don't see anything super good. I'm gonna put him in the middle of the pack. I'm gonna give him a C. Whatever the way y'all see it, I don't care.
I could go C or
Yeah.
D. I could go
I
C or D.
I mean, I was floating more to D. You release your 2 Pro Bowl safety, but one of them couldn't stay on the field in regards to Jamal Adams. Quandre Diggs, you let go.
Sure, they did let go of Quandre out of the blue.
Yeah, that hurt my feelings. That was my dog. That was my dog. Yet they haven't made any moves to say that they want to gain some ground on San Fran. They have not made no moves to say they want to gain some ground on San Fran. So right now I have to put them just above them right there at the bottom.
You can put them at D. I'm fine with that.
I'm
What do
thinking.
you think,
I,
Kenny?
I'm like
100% I'd put him D.
cool.
I don't mind that. Okay.
Next,
What's our next team? Okay, let's go to San Fran. Since you talked
Fran.
about San Fran, Nate, let's go to San Fran. They get Leonard Floyd. They get Gross Matos on a 2-year deal. They get a D tackle, a tackle. They get another D tackle with the Texans. They've been doing okay moves. I mean, they're the San Francisco 49ers. They just made the Super Bowl. So how many moves can you make? I'm putting them. I want to put them a high C and a low B, but I don't know which one I'm going to give them. I gave them a C, but I could see B too. You could disagree with me.
So it's like you said, Connor. So if you didn't have a whole lot of moves to make, then what moves they did do, I think, absolutely solidifies the roster, clearly puts them in the driver's seat in the NFC West, and should put them right at the top when you start thinking about, eventual Super Bowl contenders. So I'd probably put them at an A.
Okay.
I'm
can
leaning
see
towards
that.
more towards an A too because yes, they lost Eric Armstead off some drama, but they brought in Gross Matos, they brought in Leonard Floyd, they brought in Malik Collins from the Texans, Jordan Elliott, Kevin Givens. They got Devontae Campbell now in that linebacker core. Flanagan Fowles re-signed. They got some more cornerback depth. They lost Sam Darnold, but they brought in Joshua Dobbs. Like for a team that didn't need to do that much, all they did is they said, "Hey, our defense was a little weaker than it should have been last year. What we lacked last year? Depth. They lost a lot of key guys down that stretch. They said we're not going to have that problem again, and they brought in bona fide names that can mix well with the piece they already have. Just based off that by itself, I'm leaning towards A, but also San Francisco bias. So that's also why I'm saying A. So really, my opinion doesn't matter that much.
You can put them A. I'm okay with that.
If it's a consensus A, then I will put them in A.
Nate wants up.
I mean, everybody said everything that I need to say. This team, made it to the Super Bowl. and they have the majority of their team still intact. I was leaning more towards the A, the S, because again, this you talking about this offense still has Brock Purdy, still has running backs that it has. Losing Eric Armstead was a big hit.
Yes.
But you get depth just for situations of such.
And they lost Javon Kinlaw as well. So they lost their 2 of their 4 starting 3 of their 4 starting defensive linemen. They lost in Chase Young, Kinlaw, and Armstead.
But they filled those needs. They filled those needs.
They reloaded beautifully. Leonard Floyd and Gross Matos are going to be disgusting next to Bosa.
But one player I want to throw out there that people have like really forgot about, and if he can come back to any part, like just a percentage of himself, Talanoa Hufanga.
Yes.
Did we forget about the second coming of Troy Polamalu? Did we forget about him?
I didn't forget.
Did we forget about him? We're talking about a San Fran team right now. We're going to talk about the NFC. We talk about the NFC. We say the whether we like it or not. Philadelphia, San Fran, Dallas. Those are teams in the NFC that you gotta. When you talk about who's going to contend, like contenders, San Fran's name is going to always be up there. That team is built, and the direction that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan is pushing this team, they're going to be good for the next couple of years. And they have a nice young quarterback in Brock Purdy, whether we call him a system guy or he's the guy. The reality of it is he's a winner.
Well, let's keep going because we're gonna be out here till 9:30 if we don't keep going.
We gotta pick this up a little.
I want to go to another contender Nate mentioned earlier, and I think he said the name. Let's go to the Philadelphia Eagles. I like what they're doing. Let me just give you some names. Bryce Huff. Now I knew that right when Bryce Huff joined Philadelphia, Hassan Reddick was out because he wanted more money, and so they signed Saquon. They got CJ Gardner-Johnson. They re-signed Brandon Graham to another year. They have been doing everything other than the Kenny Pickett trade. That's the only thing I have against them. I think everything else is really up there. I'm giving the Eagles an A because of Kenny Pickett. I can't give them S because of Kenny Pickett. I just can't.
So I give the Eagles an S except for the Pickett and because they lost Kelsey to being retired. So
otherwise they also lost Lane Johnson too, right?
No, Lane Johnson signed.
I think he re-signed.
And Jordan Mailata just re-signed a 3-year extension today.
Yes, and Landon Dickerson too. So they still have their entire O-line. They did really good with that.
And they'll be able to get a center in the draft, so they should be okay. So I'd give them an A for that.
I agree. I can go Philly A.
Perfect. Great. Let's put Philly at A. Okay, let's go to the Cowboys. Nate's favorite team. Let's go to the Cowboys. They have done absolutely nothing this free agency. They have been content where they are. Jerry Jones doesn't want to go anywhere. I had problems putting them higher than F, but I think if we can all agree that, or hell, whatever we're calling it, Cowboys are down. Cowboys might be farther down than Arizona.
Absolutely. They
agreed.
showed no progress towards winning the East. They're in trouble.
I mentioned it pre-show, but they did nothing. They signed Eric Kendricks, and that's about it. But they don't have a running back right now, and that's kind of a problem. So just literally based off just that, and Jerry Jones' delusional self, F hell, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Cowboys stay there.
I know what Nate's gonna say. Nate, you don't have to open your mouth. I know. we know what you're gonna. Okay.
We know what Nate's gonna say.
Let Nate know what it is. Did you get it next? Probably find it. Get Nemo to get it. Because I don't want to go to the next team and then he bring that out for the next team.
Yeah.
Well, it could count for them too.
Yeah, it's coming. You just gotta wait.
Okay, while I wait on Nate, let's go to the next team because I don't want to wait on Nate too long because we're going to be too long. So let's go to the commies. Let's go to the Commanders. they've done some pretty okay moves. They've gotten a lot of depth position. They got a linebacker, a defensive end. They got a center. They got Austin Eckler, Marcus Mariota. They got Zach Ertz. Released a couple people that they were unwanting of, and they signed a lot of good depth positions. And for me, originally I'm like, these players are not of A tier, but the fact that they signed these players was on such cheap, I wanted to put them in B. I have to put them in A because they have been utilizing their cap to its finest. Like, it's been poetry in motion. It's amazing. Kenny.
I have trouble giving Washington an A. Only because, and you guys can remind me, did they fix their quarterback situation yet? No, they're relying on the draft, right?
They have right now. Marcus Mariota and Jeff Driscoll are contracted.
So then you're using your second pick to make sure that you have your franchise quarterback. So I'd have to give them a B.
I also have to give them a B. Like, I love that they brought in Jeremy Chin. I think that's going to mesh really well. Frankie Louvu is going to be great. Bobby Wagner is going to be solid. Dante Fowler's solid. Like, they brought in some like decent like pieces, but no QB. They're all gas, no brakes on drafting a QB, and based on just that, I can't put them higher than B.
Well, we knew that, right? Which is why I had them A. We knew they were going to draft a quarterback. We're not like the Chicago Bears. We're putting all our eggs in our basket. Except we are, but in the fact that we don't have that safety net. I mean, unless you wanted to run the same how, I can get a B. I can get behind a B. I'm not mad at that. Yeah. Next team, Giants. Let's go to the Giants. Last team in the NFC. Let's go to the New York Giants. I had a lot of trouble with this one because of where I want to say their free agency went. Now, they got Brian Burns from the Panthers. Fantastic, in my opinion, just for a second-round pick. They got a guard. They got Drew Lock as their quarterback. Could be starter. Who knows? They got a tackle. They got a wide receiver. They've gotten all these pieces of their team that they didn't have before. I'm giving the Giants a good A. Y'all can disagree with me.
Huh?
I like an A for the Giants.
So you signed your quarterback last year.
Are you
high? Mega deal,
dude.
And forego Saquon's massive. You should have given Saquon that deal and let the quarterback. Like, I'm sorry, but the Giants deserve a C.
Oh, I forgot about Saquon. Okay,
they replaced
you're right.
Saquon Barkley with Devin Singletary. No,
huge downgrade. C tier at
you're
best.
Right. You're right.
Okay, they brought in Brian Burns. Awesome. They brought in Isaiah McKenzie is no whack wide receiver. No, but you just wasted 6 years of Saquon Barkley or however many years is there. No, C tier. You can't argue higher than the C tier.
You can put
their organization is a mess right now.
Yeah, it's the Eagles division for sure.
I don't mind that.
C tier. Cool.
I don't hate
On
that.
to the AFC.
AFC. Let's go to the Steelers. Let's go to the North. We'll go to the North. And I started with the Steelers. Look, I don't know about y'all. You have signed now your defense was the sole reason you went to the playoffs last year. You have just about every piece of that defense coming back this next season. You have fortified that defense even better this free agency, and you will have 2 quarterbacks that you are signing and paying $4.5 million this year to play for your team. I'm giving them an S tier. If this isn't an S tier, I don't know what is. Y'all can say what y'all want. I love that what the Steelers have done. I got to give them S tier.
I think the Steelers front office is running circles around most of the rest of the league right now. They've done some really good things. They have 2 quarterbacks extremely cheap. So that gamble, it doesn't matter how that gamble pays out because you've instantly upgraded from Pickett. So I'd go S tier for the Steelers as well.
Brought in supporting cast of Cordell Patterson, Van Jefferson, and Quez Watkins for Russell or Justin Fields to throw to, with Pickens as the 1. That defense now has Dante Jackson and Patrick Queen just casually. Miles Kilbrew's now on that team. I'm perfectly fine with this being an S.
S for Steelers, baby.
I can go with S for Steelers. And they'll have a good draft because Tomlin knows what he's doing. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with that.
Okay, let's go to the Cleveland Browns. In I mean, I have different opinions for these teams. I like what the Cleveland Browns are doing. Let's think about this. Nick Chubb is coming back. He's coming back off an injury. And this is a little biased because of who they signed. They signed Jabbo. They signed Jabbo to Cleveland. And they got an edge. They got Jerry Jeudy in a trade. They re-signed a tight end. They've been doing so good in Cleveland this past offseason with their depth and filling their hole. They got all these QBs to make sure that, hey, if Deshaun Watson is not what he was years ago, we have insurance in our quarterback depth.
They
And
have
for
four
that,
QBs on. They got
they
four
have
QBs on that roster.
four pretty solid QBs. For that, I have to give Cleveland an A.
And they got a lot of running back depth now too.
I have to give Cleveland an A.
I
y'all
see
think?
no arguments.
Nate's with it.
I'm okay with it. Yeah, it's the Browns, so they'll still screw it up somehow. But you can give them an A.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, next. Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, Baltimore Ravens. Now, this is something I had trouble with. You signed Derrick Henry. You signed your franchise defensive player in Buke, however you pronounce it. You got re-signed Nelson Aguilar. You just haven't done much in Baltimore. There's not something that screams Baltimore, because of this free agency, is going to give them a chance to become a top team like they were this past year. I can't put them higher than a C. If you want to put them D, you can. I can't put them higher than a C.
So I would say for free agency, you can give them a D, but with the Ravens, you always have to wait until after the draft. Once they hit the draft, that's usually where they restock, they rebuild their rosters, and they're very, very good at that. So for right now, you can give them a D, but if we're starting to talk about the total offseason, the building up, I think they're going to be much higher once we get to June and the OTAs and stuff like that.
Nate,
Spot on.
you agree? Disagree?
Agree.
Agreed. Okay, next team. Cincinnati Bengals. They've done okay. They've gotten running back depth, but Joe Burrow's always injured, so it's not like we have wide receiver drama and T. Higgins. Are we going to trade him, franchise tag him? They got two tight ends with Mike Gesicki and Drew Sample. They got Zach Moss, Geno Stone. They've had a pretty solid free agency, Von Bell, Sheldon Rankins, but they haven't had something that is going to take me to an A tier. I got to put them B tier. B for Bengals.
I'm on
I like
board with
that.
for sure.
The Geno Stone signing is so sneaky. Love that signing a lot. B for now. If they do trade T. Higgins, like the rumors are saying, you got to drop it down to a C. At the moment, B is perfectly fine with me.
100%.
Nate, you agree, Nate?
I do agree.
Okay, perfect. Now we're going to go to the South in the AFC. Let's go to the Indianapolis Colts. Lost Gardner Minshew to free agency, who was their starter this past season. But what have they done to fill that need? They're going to have Anthony Richardson become their starting quarterback. They signed Michael Pittman Jr. to like a 3-year, $70 million deal. Got Grover Stewart to a 3-year deal. They just re-signed people. They've re-signed pieces that have worked in their past history. Now they got Roquan Davis, a D tackle, and they signed Joe Flacco. I'm going to give the Colts a good B. I like what they've been doing. But that's all I got to say. Just a good B. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I'm going to give it a B.
Yeah, it's the same, right? They had a chance to win the AFC South last year, and I feel like they've done almost nothing to improve on that chance. Granted, Richardson should be an immediate improvement over Minshew, but he's still entering his second year, so I'm not 100% sure on that. So, yeah, the highest I would do is a B.
Nate?
Works with me.
It works for me. Just again, we gotta see how he recovers from this injury and this surgery, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Perfect. Next team, we have the Houston Texans. Don't even get me started on the Houston Texans.
Let's make this quick.
I think we all know what we want. I'm going to give them S, especially since the Stephon Diggs trade came out. I'm giving Houston S.
Yeah.
S. Move on.
They gotta be S.
Next.
All right. Jacksonville Jaguars. So similar to what the Houston Texans have done this past offseason. They have been fortifying around CJ Stroud because they are going to spend money. Now, the way you win this game of football is to spend money in the places that matter most. Well, there's teams like the Bears and the Jaguars that had just not had the mindset of, okay, something hasn't clicked, right? They have not built around Trevor Lawrence as they should. So is this the offseason where they finally figure it out? Well, they get Gabe Davis, they get Ezra Cleveland, they get stuff for Trevor Lawrence, they get Mac Jones in a trade, get a center, they get Darnell Savage. I'm going to give them a B. I like what they've done. I just don't think it's what the best they could have done.
Are we going to start talking about how Trevor Lawrence maybe isn't a franchise quarterback? Because I have yet to be impressed by anything that he does as a professional athlete.
This is T-Law's make or break year, and I'm a Jaguars fan on the low. Like, I got family who lives in Jacksonville. Like, I can say that the offseason was a little subpar to what people were thinking, but they did make improvements. That defense is going to look a lot better. Gabe Davis, I mean, maybe he needed to get out of Buffalo to show that he's got potential. That's a little head scratching. The offensive line is fortified with Mitch Morse and Ezra Cleveland.
If Cleveland can stay healthy, it's an immediate improvement for that offensive line. But I don't think that really helps Lawrence's case because I still don't see the actual talent there. That's just me though. I would say a B or a C at most for their offseason moves.
I can get behind a B. The wide receiver core is a little. I mean, it's Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis, who are really both just wide receiver twos. So
it really just depends on how they've lost Calvin Ridley and how well they have been able to fill that up for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly kind of put the Jaguars in the same situation with the Ravens. Is I want to judge this team after the draft. What they do in the draft is going to will solidify really what I'm thinking. Like what they do with that first round pick in particular, if they go all line or if they go a DB, it will be very interesting to see. But
so what are we thinking? C? I mean, we might have to put him C. What are y'all
thinking? I think C for now.
I'm thinking C for now. They did fill some holes. They could have. They kept Josh Allen on a franchise tag. Boy Sadaluka got a new contract. Better O-linemen than they had last year. It's just the T-Law's weapons are looking a little interesting. I don't think Gabe Davis is the answer.
Nate, if you need to go, you can. We've gone a little while. We're going to finish up the thing. I appreciate you, Gator. Love you.
What's up, Gator?
So let's go on to our next team. We have the Tennessee Titans that we had to get earlier. So they have signed Awuzie, which something about Awuzie is I think he is very much overrated. I don't know about y'all. I think he's good, but I think like people are calling him names that he should not be described as, like all pro and stuff. He's good, but he's not. I don't know if he's a 3-year, $36 million good. Now Tony Pollard they signed. They get some pieces for their defense, signed a backup quarterback, and they signed Calvin Ridley. Now the money they have spent to acquire these people, I give them a low B. But I would not be upset if y'all wanted to go C for this one.
I think it has to be B. You got to remember they did trade and sign L'Jarius Sneed to a contract.
They did.
Ridley and Hopkins are going to be a good duo. Tony Pollard, it's going to be a different run style than they had last year. Christian Berry at the center spot it's definitely an improvement. I don't know about Kenneth Murray as a linebacker. Joseph Day isn't terrible, but he's not great. I mean, Mason Rudolph and Will Levis is that quarterback room, which is something.
I think the trade-off between Henry and Pollard immediately detracts from everything that this team has done this offseason. I know the writing was on the wall from the beginning that Henry wasn't going to get re-signed this year going into this season, but at the same time, like, who did you replace him with, right? I think it's an immediate, and there isn't a lot that you can do for Henry that would be an upgrade to that position, but you can convince me of a B, but I'm stuck on that Henry thing, and that makes it a low C.
I'm feeling.
I'm okay with the C.
I'm okay with the C.
I had a low B.
Yeah. I'm
let's
cool
keep
to
going.
see. We're cool to see.
Next team, I think we're finally out of the South. Yes, we are. We're going to the West. We're going to the Raiders. So the Raiders have been interesting. They signed Christian Wilkins to a 4-year deal worth a lot of money. They fulfilled that need. And before that, I had them drafting a D tackle, which, I mean, I don't think they draft one anymore.
No.
So they acquired Gardner Minshew. I really like Gardner Minshew. He's a Mississippi boy, but I like him because honestly, in his seasons as a starter, his stats are better than Trevor Lawrence. If we're being honest, I saw that the other day, and it surprised me. Like Gardner Minshew stats are better than Trevor Lawrence. Now they re-signed Amir Abdullah. They got a center. It's just they haven't done a lot for me to give them anything higher than a B. So that's where I'm going to put them. I like a B. So
anything higher
Here-
than C, because if we're gonna use the same if we're using the same wisdom we just used on the Titans. You're telling me
I
you
like
went
Gardner
from
Minshew. So,
but you're
fine.
telling me you went from Josh Jacobs to Alexander Madison. No, thank you. C.
What do you think, Kenny?
I have to agree. I think it's got to be a C for now. Again, you'll see what they do in the draft and see how much they can actually improve. The Raiders are always a wild card team to begin with. You never know exactly what they're doing.
You never know what they're doing. That's actually
sometimes they surprise you with some really good moves, like when they drafted Max Crosby. I thought that was a brilliant move back then. But yeah, I mean, you just never know with them. So yeah, I think C for now.
Okay, let's go to our next team, the Denver Broncos. Now, this team, these free agents, almost every single one of them have played in New Orleans. And you can see Sean Payton's kind of hand over this Denver front office, like, hey, I want this person. I want this person. I don't like what Denver's doing. They're doing something, but I don't like it. I'm going to have to put them in D.
I'm also thinking D. Just looking at those names, it's not.
I think if you're looking at the deal that they struck to send Russell Wilson to the Steelers and how they're still, I'm sorry, not a deal, but how they basically just cut him and let all that money slip away. They're going to be in salary cap hell forever. So I think just by that, they're in a hell tier.
Ooh, I like that. I didn't think about that. I like that. All right.
I mean, they've screwed themselves over for the next 5 years. You're going to lose Sean Payton before you fix your salary cap problem.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
And now we're on to the.
So let's go to the Chiefs. Like we had with the 49ers, there's just not much the Chiefs can do.
But they did improve.
They re-signed L'Jarius Sneed, but automatically they traded him. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I think their secondary was really, really good in Kansas City. I don't think they needed L'Jarius Sneed, if I'm being honest. Trent McDuffie was an all-pro in that position. So it's just who you wanted to roll with. They wanted to roll with the all-pro, which is fine. There's just not much you can do in Kansas City. I'm gonna give them a B because of that. I mean, they filled what they needed. They re-signed Chris Jones.
I'm arguably giving them an A because they're picking up Hollywood Brown. They technically have a better backup QB in Carson Wentz. Deion Bush re-signed. Irv Smith as a backup tight end is honestly better than what they've had. And they brought in the rugby guy, Luis Reese-Zamitz.
That rugby guy is not going to be any good. Don't even hype him up.
He might not. You would be surprised though, and just they're also taking a risk on Matt Araiza, who, if you know, they're in the same situation as the 49ers. They really couldn't do much to improve, but just by bringing back Chris Jones, not on a franchise tag, but to an actual deal, and bring in Hollywood Brown to pair with Rashid Rice, just based on that, it's an A. It's an A in my eyes.
I can see an A for sure. I can see an A. Yeah.
I don't hate that. We can do A. But we gotta think, like, is Rashid Rice going to play this season? So we got to also take that into consideration. But let's finish up the West. Let's go to the Chargers. I hate everything the Chargers have done this offseason. I'm going to give them a D to be generous because they did sign a running back and a tight end. They did fulfill a little bit of needs, but they weren't good players. But I'm going to give them a D just because they fulfilled a couple needs.
I agree. And in Harbaugh's first year, there's going to be a lot of reorganization with that franchise. So I think the best you can do is a D. You could even
I-
argue hell tier for this, but I mean, you got to give the front office the benefit of the doubt. They were hitting that salary cap issue too.
I can't wait to see how they draft. That's just me. I can't wait to see how Jim Harbaugh is going to approach this draft, knowing that he just came from Michigan.
Now let's go to the Patriots because this is interesting. We have a rookie head coach, and pretty much it probably will be a rookie quarterback. So we'll see the same scenario we saw this past season with the Houston Texans. I like what the Patriots are doing. They have been making sure, just like the Bears, that this quarterback they draft is going to walk into a situation where he is not going to fail. So I'm not going to give him an A. I'm going to give him a B. I like what they're doing. I don't think it's as good as it could be. So I'm going to give him a B because of that.
No, I have no complaints there. I think it's a B. Like, I look at them and I look at the Cardinals because they're in my eyes, they're sort of the same team. The Patriots are doing what the Cardinals should be doing. So they're just based on that. I like Patriots.
100%. They're a perfect fit for B for now.
I love that. So let's go to the Jets. Okay. The Jets. Now, this is interesting because we have a 40-year-old quarterback that's going to start for the Jets this next season. How are we going to protect this 40-year-old quarterback to the best of our ability? Now, they lost Bryce Huff to free agency, but you got to keep in mind they have a very good defense. They have depth. Now, they have Jermaine Johnson as an end. They haven't lost much. Now, they signed Tyrod Taylor. They signed Javon Kinlaw, which I think was a good deal.
Sneaky.
And they signed 2 tackles, Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, to make sure, hey, this 40-year-old quarterback, he's not going to look 40 when he's in that pocket because there's not going to be a single person that's going to get to him to make him look 40 years old. They got Mike Williams from the after the Chargers released him. I'm giving this a hefty A for the Jets.
I have no complaints there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good argument for A. I could see it. You'll have to wait and see until they actually hit the field before it's, I think it's more like a B, but for now, it's easy to say it's an A.
Jack likes B. I mean, I like A. I like A for this one.
So I mean, I think you're right on that border between A and B, and I think
you
can
you're right
default to A in this case.
You're right there. You're right there. We'll just have to see what the rest.
They did everything they needed to do plus a little bit more.
Let's go to the Buffalo Bills. Now, this was one of the teams where I thought, hey, who has had a worse free agency than the Buffalo Bills in my eyes? Now, you re-sign a bunch of these players. You have somebody you signed a max contract with AJ Epinesa. You got Mitch Trubisky. Cool. I mean, you sign all these people to very expensive deals, but you also traded your star wide receiver, your franchise, one of the best wide receivers in the league, for a second-round pick. You didn't just trade your you didn't just trade your wide receiver for a second-round pick. You traded him a 5th and a 6th for a second-round pick. That's awful. I'm putting Buffalo in
F.
I'm putting them in F. I got to put them in F.
Yeah.
And then because it's not just like, oh, they lost Stephon Diggs, but oh, they lost Gabe Davis. Oh, they lost Jordan Poyer. Oh, they lost Jarius White. Oh, they lost Mitch Morse. They lost everybody, almost all. Leonard Floyd. Like, they lost almost every key piece.
I mean, we were talking weeks ago about how the Bills' window was closing and they didn't know it. Well, they just slammed it shut on themselves with everything that they did in the past couple of weeks. They're done. Moving on to the next one. It's, and now it's anybody's division. That the AFC East is wide open. And I think the next team we're going to talk about is the clear front runner.
Let's talk about it then. I don't know if they're the clear front runner. I think there's obviously, like you said, it's wide open. It's a big toss up for them. But the Dolphins, they signed a linebacker. They signed Jonnu Smith. They signed a lot of old players. Now that's what I want to talk about. They have a lot of veteran leadership in this team, and that was one of the issues they had this past season was they did not have a lot of veteran leadership on that team to take them far into the playoffs. They didn't have a lot of people other than like Tyreek Hill that was super like knew how the playoffs worked, right? So they're making sure, hey, we're going to fix that. We're going to sign all these veteran players. Is it going to be a bad thing? Is it going to be a good thing? We don't know. And because I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad, I want to go towards the good side. I'm going to give them a B.
Yeah, I can
definitely see that. The veteran leadership always helps as long as they respond to the coach. the veteran leadership is going to be there. It'll be
The
solid.
coach is Mike McDaniel. Like
Yeah.
the coach is
And I
someone-
love him. I think
the coach is someone
he's
who they
weird,
would respond to.
quirky. I think they'll respond very well to him.
I like him a lot. Now, if there's anything anyone has to say about this, let's keep it up just a little bit longer, Si.
Yep.
Comment below. You can take a quick look at it before we take it off the screen.